Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today's project is this little box, and I have used the Boho Vibes suite. So I've used the Designer Series paper and the Sunshine Vibes stamp set, along with some of the dies that I've got out at the moment to use. Okay, so in my last video I did an unboxing of all of the goodies that I had ordered, and couldn't really wait to play with the Boho Vibes suite. I have actually already created a card which I meant to show you. This card appeared on my blog. Not done a video for this one, but I just couldn't resist playing with the new in colour Designer Series paper and that cutout of the rainbow on there. So you'll find the details for that on my blog. But back to this. What's inside? We have a huge big jammy dodger. One of my husband's favourite biscuits, or cookies if you prefer. And one of the things I love about this bundle is these lovely big sentiments there. So that's what I used on my card and on here as well for the thanks. And I did stamp a little bit with this little detail around there as well, and there are dies for those little stars, and hopefully you can just about see they've got a little bit shimmer to them because I used my Wink of Stella on them and added some gems. So I'm going to make another one, and using some of the different colours from the Designer Series paper pack. So I've got Daffodil Delight, Petal Pink, and then I've got this lovely, it's not quite dotty, but you know, nearly, Designer Series paper that has these colours in it as well. And I've got a scrap of Daffodil Delight and a scrap of Petal Pink to do my rainbow. So I've already cut the pieces that I need for the base and my DSP. You'll get the measurements for that in my blog post. I'll try and remember to give you them as we go as well. So the base is 6.5 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to score that at 3/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. But first I'm going to cut the piece for the lid. And it's going to be the same measurement, but plus 1/6 of an inch. Okay, so if we have a quick look here, let's look at the 2-inch mark there. That first little mark there, that is a 1/16. The longer one is an 1/8. Okay, and then when we get to 4 checks, that would be 1/4 there. Okay, so I'm just doing one little smidgen bigger than the base. So let's first of all cut this to 5 1/16, like so. And I'm going to open that out and go slightly off camera and I'm going to measure that at 6.5 was the original, and I'm just going to nudge that to the next little line here to get that extra 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so that's my spare card. I'm going to move that. All right, now I could do my scoring with my paper trimmer as well, but I'm not going to. I'm going to bring in my trusty Simply Scored. Okay, so I'm going to do both these pieces at 3/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. So that extra 1/16 of an inch on my lid means that it will fit over the base without a struggle, but also not be too loose. 3/4. Okay, scoring done. Next stage is just to fold and burnish, so just give them a good crease. All 4 sides, top and bottom. And one of my little tricks, or tips rather, is, in case you get confused, because they are so similar, there really is just the finest of margins. Let's see, around there. Okay, I quite often, I'm going to cover that with this designer series paper anyway, so once I've created the lid, I quite often just write lid on it, and then I'm not confused, or not as confused, should say. Okay. All right, so on my lid, I could actually just go ahead and add these pieces. Let's just do that. Oops, that was me taking my glue out and everything else falling around. Okay, so just center that like so. Happy with it, give it a press, and then do the same. So that piece there, let me get my measurements, is 4 7/8 by 3 3/8. So the side piece here is 4 7/8 by 5/8. Okay, so that one there. Just wiggling it around until I'm happy. There we go. And then the second one. Pop that in. Slide it around until I'm happy that that's straight. Then we can give that a little press, and then we've got the 2 side pieces here. They are 3 3/8 by 5/8. So lining up with that, and also trying to keep it kind of straight at the bottom. Kind of straight. That'll do. All right, and then we can do a little bit of cutting and gluing to actually build the base and then the lid. And then we can decorate. I'm going to bring it into my snips. And I'm just going to cut up there, take a little wedge out, and take a little wedge out there. Okay, and I'm going to do that on each of my corners. So straight up, a little wedge, little wedge. Okay, so we've got a nice straight edge there, but we've got a little less bulk in the corners. That. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same on my base. And it actually doesn't matter which way round you do your corners on this, because your tabs are a lot shorter than the sides, so you could do it that way instead of that way. Doesn't really matter. I don't know about where you are, but we have had the most amazing sunny weather here in Scotland. However, I would love a bit of rain for our community garden. We've been doing a lot of planting recently, and I'm having to go along a bit more regularly than I'd like to just to water. Watering feels like it's become a full-time job. But it is so nice to have our... It's a fairly newly established community garden, and we've got our raised beds in for the first season and have planted all sorts of lovely veggies to complement the fruit trees that were already there, and we've put in some other fruit trees and bushes as well. So sorry, all I'm doing here is just adding glue to my tabs and then folding that around. Make sure that I've got the corners fully aligned, and when I'm happy, give it a good press. So yes, looking forward to a bountiful harvest later on this year, so that all of our hard work from a very small team of people pays off. Right, I've got my huge big cookie, put that in there, and then top tip is to build your base around your lid. So again, I want to have glue on this side of the tabs. Put that in, then I can bring that around and that around and bring that up. Okay, and then we'll just push them together. Just remembered what I needed to do just about in time. Let's just unpick that. I'll add more glue in a minute to redo it, because I want to make it easier to get the box open. So I'm using 1 3/4 circle punch just to take a little nip out either side of that. See, I get talking about gardening and I forget what I'm doing with crafting. Right, let's try that again. Put our glue on there. That's the benefit of wet glue, is you've got a little bit of time to fix your mistakes. So, got that corner nicely snug. Do that one. Nicely snug. Then we've got these two, so let's just add my glue on there and on there. You could do all of the gluing at the same time, but I'm just so ham-fisted or clumsy that if I've got glue, I'll put my fingers in it. It's almost guaranteed. So there we go. That means that my lid sits really nicely around the base. Obviously it's the wrong way around just now. Gently tease that out so that I'm not affecting any of the gluing. Give that another little press, like so. pop that on top. Now we can decorate. So again, it's a good close fit, but you're not having to push the sides in. There is a little bit of a give around about, and I've got glue on there. I could pretend it was part of the pattern, but I won't. Alright, so decorations. As I say, I have 2 pieces to die cut, so I'm just going to do that first of all. Right, so this is the type of piece that I used on my card. I might keep that for something else. But these are the pieces that I'm going to use to decorate this. And I just need to decide whether I want to stamp on these as I did with the other ones. It's nice and easy to get them out in order. It says it. There we go. Right. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap. Just copier paper. And then I'm going to line these up. You could, of course, stamp your card before you die cut it. That would probably be easier. But if you watch my videos, you'll probably have gathered I don't do things the easy way most of the time. Where's the fun in that? Alright, let's get... I think I'll use this one this time. And let's see what colours. So I could just do tone and tone. I could use the petal pink that we have on our base to kind of bring that in, but I think I will actually use, what will I use? Shall I use the green? Can't remember what green it is. Mossy Meadow, I think. It is Mossy Meadow. I'm going to go Secret Sea again. And then I can use Secret Sea ribbon. Yeah, let's do that. So, let's just randomly stamp bits. I don't want to stamp it all. I just want random little pieces here and there. I think possibly need a little bit more down here. Let's do it that way though. There we go. That'll do. Right, so I then want to glue them onto here, and I like to start with the smallest. So a little bit of glue. Don't squeeze too hard, Heather. And then pop that one around there, like that. Now see, this is when things spark in my head that I'm now thinking the Timid Tiger with these stripes, Timid Tiger card with these stripes would look awesome. I am just trying to take my time so that I don't get glue absolutely everywhere, as I frequently do. Okay. And just wiggle that around. They are not perfectly aligned. They're kind of abstract and I love it. Like that. And then the last one. Oopsie. More glue on my finger than on the die cut. There we go. Alright. Again, just use my bone folder. Cute! Right, so yeah, I can bring in that Secret Sea ribbon. Now what I didn't show in my unboxing video is the detail of this ribbon. Can we get a close-up? You can see it's called faux linen ribbon, and it has, you can kind of see through it. I also didn't show you that it's kind of stiff, which means it's great for doing a bunny ears bow, like so. Let's just pull that through, and while it's loose, just flatten everything out. Then pull. And then you've got a nice flat bow, if you twist that the right way. But there, yeah. So it does tie nicely for a flat bow on there. I'm not going to pull that too tight because I don't want to crinkle my ribbon too much. So I'm going to get my ribbon scissors and I'm just going to chop that end off. And that is like that. And I don't often use a Stampin' Seal, but I'm going to today. Just going to run a little bit across the middle like that. Pop that ribbon on. Just press it to there. Then I'm going to put that over the top with dimensionals. Okay. It's probably a little over the top with the dimensionals, but better too many than not enough in my book. I tend to order dimensionals or include dimensionals on every order, so I always have loads. Okay, all that waste out to the side here. Right, and another tip which I got from my lovely friend Verity at inkybutterfly.com is to just add a little bit of wet glue onto your dimensionals so that again you have that little bit of wiggle room to make sure you're happy with where you've placed it, because without it your dimensionals grab pretty quickly. Okay, so we then just need to add our thanks, and I think I'm going to go Secret Sea again. Why not? To continue with that theme. And where is my stamp set? Over here. And it's got to be thanks. So there's all sorts of dies that you could use for just adding texture or extra little elements to your projects. So I'm just going to use this scrap here. Lovely. And I will trim that. Yeah, I'll use my trimmer. Let's be professional, Heather, instead of just going wonky with your scissors. There we are. A tiny little bit off there. Oh, slither, but it did it. Okay, so we've already got dimension on here. I'm just going to add my flanks on there, and then I will die cut some stars. Go on the wonk this time, just to have it a little bit different. And my little stars dies, or hearts. Should we go hearts this time? Let's do hearts. So I can just do that in that corner there, actually. Let's just snip that. Waste not, want not round here. And to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to add the Wink of Stella to my card before I die cut it. Okay, back in a sec. They are adorable. So I'll add one there, one there, and one there, I think. So just a tiny bit of glue. Pop that on. And then we just need a little bit extra bling. Always with the bling. Ooh, that's too much. Got a little scrap card that we cut off our sentiments. I'm just using that as a glue spreader before I pop that down on there. And there we are, ready for our embellishments. And I used the gold ones from these sparkle gems. So I will use the glittery ones this time. One, two, and I'll go in three. There, a bit of a triangle. And there we go. We have two Boho Vibes. Yep, Boho Vibes. Lidded boxes. The base is a different colour from the top, and just simply opens like that to reveal a treat inside. And I will put the final measurements of the box in my description for this video. You've also got a link to my blog post that will have all of the measurements that you need too. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, take care. Bye bye.